Hi, this is Dan Henk, and welcome to another edition of the Skull Sessions. And today, my guest is Stephen Oram. I got that right, didn't I?
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. It's one of those names I have to spell out for people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm a little under the weather today, if people can't tell. But yeah. So let's talk about what you got going on.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry.
Let's talk about what you have going on.
Okay, yeah, great. Well, one of the things is so I had a novella out in September, um, called Brain Fruit from a wonderful kind of new indie publisher over in Sweden called Lil Factory, who are producing collectibles really. So that it's printed in very traditional way, hardback, cloth bound, in a traditional printer with paper that's going to kind of age as paper now doesn't, but used to.
Oh, is it
Um,
going to turn kind of yellow over time?
yeah, yeah, and it's a very deliberate choice. So what I really like about it is this: it's a sort of far futuristic fable inside a very traditional printed 500 limited copies of paper that's going to go yellow and all that. There's just something really nice about that. So that's Brain Fruit. That was out in September, and it the other thing I've got going at the moment is I'm working with somebody who's coined the phrase Zoe futurism, which is a kind of new subgenre of science fiction. So I'm working with her. Her name's Yen Ui, and Brain Fruit is my first attempt at a Zoe futurist story. So few things kind of coming together in that world.
Okay, so roughly, we don't need like a whole long explanation, but roughly, what's the premise of it? Like, what are we looking at?
So it's a novella, so it's about 10,000 words. It's based on something called a trioid, which is a symbiotic relationship between a bee, a bug, and a brain fruit coming together. Um, I'm not going to give too much away, but some aspects of that are biological, some are technological, some are mechanical, and the kind of arc of the story is about learning to trust, which obviously, if you're going to go into a symbiotic relationship, is quite important. And then there's another element around how to. I've been using the word compromise, but I'm not sure it is compromise. How to find how to find the place that works so that everybody is kind of benefiting rather than some benefiting over others. So that's the kind of shape of the story, and it's to give much more away in such a short piece would be kind of ruining it for people. But I don't know if that
So,
gives you a good idea.
it takes place in the future or it takes place in the present? How are we looking at?
So it's unclear.
Oh, okay.
However, there are no humans, but there is a nod to a past culture of humans. So I think it would be reasonable to assume that it's kind of post-human and therefore in the future, and,
Okay.
and quite a way in the future. So I up until now I've tended to write very near future kind of political satire kind of stuff, whereas this is I'm kind of branching out here. So yeah, it is far future, but it doesn't involve spaceships and space travel and all that kind of stuff.
What are the clues people get that it's like a evolved technology that's like a something we don't have now?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's so the brain for it opens with the bee commenting on the fact that its fruit on a tree that is a brain is that it's nurtured and created from cells from the last brain fruit that it was symbiotic with. and it's nurtured, and this is going to be its next life cycle of having this brain fruit as part of its trioid. So there's a little bit of human brain organoid kind of stuff growing, growing brains in vats, but this is in a fruit on a tree. There's a little bit of AI kind of mixed in there. So a few things that are probably recognizable if you kind of took the time and sort of stopped and thought, oh, where's that come from? But it's not a story that's immediately obvious in terms of the where the technology has come from.
Okay. You're in England, right?
Yeah, I'm in the heart of London, so
Yeah,
I'm sitting
you British
here.
have some of the greatest humor. Like I love Terry Gilliam, like especially like the 12 Monkeys and stuff like that. It's like people wouldn't even think of that, but like it breaks the boundaries. You know, I mean, being in England, you probably are, but are you a fan of that kind of stuff? Like the Douglas Adams, Terry Gilliam, like that kind of like sci-fi with a little bit of commentary, but it's like commentary that's so clever, you don't necessarily pick up an exact element.
Yeah, I am a big fan of that kind of stuff. I really like reading stuff or watching stuff that how should I put it, that kind of messes with your head a bit.
Okay.
So I think I'd say in the acknowledgements of Brain Fruit that two people that were a bit of their writing was a bit of an inspiration for this was so early Jeff Noon. I don't know if you know Jeff Noon, things like Vert and Pollen, which is kind of back in the 90s, very.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, there's like a lot of British people that I'm unfamiliar with, but like some of my favorite writers, like Alan Moore, they came from England.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Actually, Alan Moore comes from a town next to the one I grew up in, but I don't know him, but but he did. Um, but also,
My girl calls him the old wizard because
yeah,
he like
he
he
does.
grows his like long beard, long hair, he has rings and stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, it sounds brilliant.
yeah, very much into magic and stuff, isn't he? The other person, which is I think he may be Canadian actually, Jeff Vandermeer, and some of his stuff I really really like. Something like Born. So you basically those things that are kind of they're they're just on the edge of messing with what you can consider reality without going so far that it's become fantasy. So I don't know what you would call it, whether it's science fantasy or science fiction right at the extremes, but that kind of place I really enjoy reading and watching. And this is a Brain Fruit is one of it's kind of, as I say, it's my first foray into actually writing that sort of stuff as well.
I know my publisher and my editor both called it speculative fiction when it like doesn't clearly fall into a category, but you have a couple different elements involved. So is that kind of like I would guess yourself would be like more speculative fiction, but leaning towards the sci-fi side. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, yeah, I think I would. I mean, definitions are always tricky, aren't they? The minute you start
Yeah.
trying to define something, you can think of all the reasons it's not. I mean, personally, I kind of think of speculative fiction as being a very broad umbrella across anything that is speculating, if you like. I mean, it's a fairly obvious definition. So I would say,
I
yeah.
think it probably is, yeah.
Mm. So this would definitely come under speculative fiction, and I would say I would say it's science fiction in that you I think I can point to the kind of origins of the stuff that's in it, even though I've taken it a long way away from that. So, if you take human brain organoids, I was at something a few years ago where it was the kind of world getting together of the human brain organoid scientists, and they're thinking about the ethics of growing brains in vats and what's a good thing, is that a good thing, a bad thing, and all the rest of it. So if you take that and extrapolate that right through to a brain being born like a fruit off a tree, that's the kind of trajectory. So as I say, it's pushing science a long way, but probably just falling inside the edge of science fiction. I would say.
Well, some people like to say that sci-fi is pretty much anything fantastical, like Frankenstein. They call it science fiction. I wouldn't call Frankenstein science fiction. Um, do you, I like it. It's a good story, but to me, science fiction would be more like along the lines of like a space odyssey or something like that. Would you say yours kind of ties into the sci-fi world or just advanced technology?
So I think this one, Brain Fruit, I think it's probably so it's not space opera or space odyssey or anything of that kind of thing. But I think I would say just yeah, it probably is. As I say, I think it is science fiction. Is it advanced technology? It is very advanced technology. I mean, again, it's this kind of how do you define things?
Kind of
So
like a futuristic elements, like a Blade Runner, for instance, but takes place on this planet.
yeah, I mean there are robots in it. So it's less recognizable than Blade Runner would be because Blade Runner's kind of set in a kind of human context, if you like.
Right.
Um, but the planet it's set on is not. I don't say whether it's Earth or whether it's another planet, but it's developed in that it has trees, it has water, it has so you can take what you want
You don't
from.
specify like a country or territory. It's like this is just what's happening, and you can kind of like make assumptions on whether it's Earth or like a Earth-like planet.
Yeah, absolutely. I could, and because it's pretty short. It's 50 pages long. This so it's the reader has to make some assumptions, uh, and I think it's great. Like a story belongs to readers. The minute it's released, it's kind of whatever a reader wants to make of it. Really, whatever story it is. So, I'm really happy for people to read it and think it's another planet or think it's Earth in the future or see something in it that wasn't necessarily intended, but maybe my subconscious was there. So it is deliberately ambiguous. And when I was working with the editors, that was a bit of the to and fro. How much do you make it clear for the readers, and how much ambiguity do you leave in there? And that was for as a writer, that was a really interesting um it was a really interesting kind of tightrope to walk. I want I want people to be slightly unsure, but no, not so unsure that they just can't get a handle on anything. So um when people read it, they can tell me tell me how well I did on that or not. But that was kind of what I was trying to do.
Okay, I know a lot of people don't like to do this, so I'll preface by saying that. But if you had to compare it to something, not say it's exactly the same, but say if you like this, you will like my stuff. What would you compare it to?
Yeah, you're right. I don't like doing that. um, Partly, everybody thinks their writing's original, I'm sure, which is one reason not to want to do it. But the other is I don't. I'm going to do it, but I'm just putting the caveats in. It's like I'm not. It's very hard to compare yourself to
Right,
people who
I'm
who
not
wrote
even
it.
saying like, okay, this is the second generation of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or thing. What I'm saying is, I'm saying if you
Yeah,
like this, you'll probably like my stuff
yeah.
too.
So I would go back to the two people I mentioned. So I think the Jeff Noon, Jeff Vandermeer, the others that are kind of in the slightly stranger, slightly weirder stuff. So maybe China Mailville. I can never pronounce his name correctly. There's a book by a British author called Jeff Ryman called what's it called? The Child Garden. So those sort of things that are that's the sort of bunch of people that I would say if you like those, I think you'd like this.
Right. So, you're kind of like you're saying like it's kind of like the same feel that is there like some people are like way more descriptive. Some people are very open so that let the reader imagine everything. Where would you say you fall in that category?
I would say I so certainly the reviews and all the rest of it that I've had for my work generally. So going back over other stuff, um, people tend to say that it is beautifully written but quite succinct. So not long descriptions of things, but obviously there is description in there. So I would say it's quite tight writing generally. Probably because I've written quite a lot of flash fiction and short stories and um, stories for anthologies or stories for reading. So with those, you've got to be quite tight in what you're doing. So more that than I don't know. Let's pick on one, something like Lord of the Rings, which
What anthologies have you been in? Do you want to give anything a shout out?
well, that's a good question. I have to try and remember them, won't I? So I've been in the breast of British science fiction twice for a couple of stories, a couple of anthologies from a small publisher called Orchid's Lantern. I've been in a couple of times. Um, just recently an anthology called Creative Futures. So one of the things I also do is something called applied science fiction, and one of the stories from a project I did with a university and the British Ministry of Defence. There's an anthology of stories that came out around that. I there's quite a few others, but I have a lovely tab on my website called Fiction, which kind of here's the novels, here's the collections, here's the
Give a shout out to your website.
yeah. So it's StephenOram.net. So StephenOram.net.
Okay, and is that the best way for people to get your stuff? Would they also be able to get off like Amazon or Barnes and Nobles or what I like to say is like wherever fine books are sold?
Yeah, it should be wherever you find books being sold, or the stuff should be available. The one difference though is with Brain Fruit because it's limited because of all sorts of things and numbered and blah blah blah. It's available from some outlets, some countries on Amazon. Not in the US, I don't think, because the all the recent changes to tariffs and all the rest of it made it impossible. But the publisher has on his website, it's like, if you email me at this address, I'll make sure I'll get you a copy. So, but basically, if you go to my website, there's good links through to where you can get stuff. So that's probably the best route to
Could
get
they
stuff.
contact you on the website for like a signed copy or something like that?
They can definitely contact me on the website. I don't keep copies at home, so I don't sell through the website. But anyhow, drop me a line on the website, and I'm sure we can work something out somehow.
Do you do conventions?
Sorry,
Do you do conventions? I know you're in the UK, so you're probably not doing a lot in the US.
conventions. I don't do any US ones, but I do quite a few of the UK ones. So ones that people in the UK recognize. EasterCon, which is the kind of possibly the biggest British one, Bristol Con, a few others. I was at the last year the Sci-Fi World Convention came to the UK, so I was at that in Glasgow. But I I wouldn't be traveling all around the world to go to those conventions.
Well, unless there's like huge demand, I would take it.
I mean,
So,
again, the best thing, if anyone's interested in what I'm up to and wants to kind of come and see me or whatever, I do have an events tab on my website as well. So anything that I've got coming up, I'm going to be at. If I'm talking or reading or whatever, it's kind of listed there.
okay, that's cool. What do you have out so far? Like, if people really like brain fruit, what else would they purchase?
So, I mean, interestingly, as I say, this is kind of the first far future thing I've done. Um, Most of the other stuff is much more near future, trying to look at as kind of political situations or trying to think of ways of having a better future or that kind of stuff. So I had a novel out in March called "We Are Not Anonymous," and that's the story of a kind of the conflicts, the wrong word with some activists that are trying to use a sort of tech bro, billionaire tech person's technology and sort of twist it on them. So rather than overthrow, to kind of use it and use it for the benefit of their community. So that's very it has some strange elements to it in terms of what the sort of billionaire tech bro is up to, because there's experimentation on children to fast forward evolution and things like that. But
A
it's
little
it
bit of
is
eugenics moved into that.
sorry.
A little bit of eugenics, like as part of
Yeah, yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, eugenics and yeah, yeah, it's kind of eugenics. Yeah, yeah. I didn't go too far into it, but it's the kind of it. In some ways, it's looking at a world where there's a lot more people that basically don't have any money and therefore are kind of more open to being experimented on, or kids that don't really have any family, that kind of thing. So
Kind of
uh,
like the people who they need money so they do medical research for the funds.
yeah, which I used to do.
Oh, do you have any long-lasting effects from that?
No, I don't think so. So a long time ago now, I again in London, but I was squatting, didn't have much money, and well, they pay you to they put you in a bed for a couple of days. You could watch videos, and they give you
You
some
might
drugs.
die.
Yeah, but no, the worst was a friend of mine did actually. He didn't die, but did a 6 week long trial and started to go quite a strange pale color over the course of it. I'm not sure that was particularly healthy, but those things were all either they were either student doctors or people like us who were sort of squatting and just wanted a bit of money. That was really the two categories of people that did it. So maybe there's some elements of that has kind of come through in what I'm writing.
Okay, well, I mean, the best of it is based on real life stuff. I hate it when people like write about stuff that they know absolutely nothing about, and the minute you read it, you're like, they don't know about this.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean.
All right, so I don't want to keep you here all day, but let's go over how people get a hold of you, and how they can throw money at you.
Well, uh, money in brown envelopes at my door. That's absolutely fine by me. No,
Winning lottery tickets, whatever works. Yeah.
yeah, all that sort of stuff.
That's what I tell
Uh,
people. Like they're like, what can I pick up for you from the local deli? I'm like, a winning lottery ticket, but
yeah,
only a winning one. I
yeah,
don't want
yeah.
just a random one.
Only bring it to me when you know it's already.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, the best way to get into touch, as I say, is through the website. If you go to the contact bit on the website, it has. So I've got a link tree there, which has all the kind of social media links and all that. Um, I'm on Substack, so there's a link from the menu on the website to Substack. So at the moment, I'm doing a little podcast with actually somebody else, somebody in New York. We're doing a little 10-minute thing every month that the stuff goes up on there, so you can subscribe to that. But yeah, basically, go to the website, go to the fiction tab, see what you fancy, and buy some, and that would be fantastic. And obviously, everyone's going to say this, but leave some reviews. That's also
Oh, reviews
right.
really help. I
Yeah,
think people don't need to realize how much they help.
yeah, they really, really
Like I
do.
tell people, even if you hate my stuff, you leave me a 1-star review. I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah.
All
But
right.
actually, funnily enough, Brain Fruit has got really, really good reviews, which I'm really pleased about. But there was one review on NetGalley which is a very low star. But the person who wrote it was more angry about the idea of people people should learn to trust and compromise. It's like, this is absolutely wrong. This should not happen. This should not be out in the public. We should not be. I'm like, okay, well, you got what I was saying, even if you
You
didn't like
get
the
Karens
message.
everywhere. I did a story for like it was a horror anthology, and it was one of the Spudpunk books that Jack Paisley puts out, and the review was like, "There's atheism in here. Atheism doesn't belong in like horror." It's like, dude, you did not review the stories.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, reviews, as you say, their reviews really do make it, or even, I mean, even just a rating, Goodreads or Amazon are obvious ones, but reviews are just are great for all sorts of reasons. Partly it's nice to hear what people think, but also the whole algorithm thing is kind of based on around that, isn't it?
yeah, I'd also say just to comment for the general public, um, if you want to say something like there's a misspelling or whatever, why don't you contact the writer? Don't just leave them a negative review and say, "Hey, this one thing is misspelled," because people have no idea how wrapped up and hard it is to edit everything, make it all perfect.
Absolutely. And I think just about every book you read has at least one or two
Oh, it's
little.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be
However,
Stephen King. It could be like
yeah,
somebody huge.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And what amuses me sometimes is sometimes you can see where they've changed the word, maybe from and to or, and
right,
forgot to take and out. And it's like,
right.
but yeah, it's so hard to catch everything. So yeah, but as you say, it's much better to get a message than
Right, right.
um,
No,
or even just acknowledge that that's kind of part of what happens. It's
I put out an anthology and I quoted Rod Sterling and I spelled it Rod Sterling, which is a mistake, but it's actually a very common mistake. But I remember somebody gave me a 1-star review and just tore me apart for a misspelling. I'm like, sorry, I corrected it right away, but yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it is kind of rough. All right, man. So, do you have anything else you want to throw out there to the social sphere for everyone to hear?
I don't think. I mean, I think we've pretty much covered stuff. I mean, I it'd just be lovely for people to sign up to the Substack and enjoy, hopefully enjoy Brain Fruit and everything else. And big thanks to you for inviting me on. It's great.
Okay, definitely, man. All right, so thank you very much for being on this.